There's something funny about printer ink. It's one of those everyday things you don't think about until you run out. And suddenly your entire workflow, your documents, your photos, everything just comes to a stop because of a tiny plastic cartridge. Today we're looking at the HP 936 Cyan Magenta and yellow ink cartridges. These are designed for HP OfficeJet Pro printers like the 9110, 9120, 9130, and even wide format models like the 9730. On paper, they're just ink. In reality, they're part of one of the most debated consumable ecosystems in tech. Now, the first thing you notice isn't even performance. It's the system. HP has built a very controlled ecosystem here. These cartridges are designed to work specifically with certain printers. And if you're inside that ecosystem, the experience is smooth, almost invisible. You install them, close the tray, and you're immediately ready to print in full color. No calibration drama, no weird compatibility issues, just clean output. But let's talk about what actually matters. Print quality. Color reproduction on the HP 936 set is surprisingly consistent. Cyan comes out clean without that oversaturated neon tint cheaper inks sometimes produce. Magenta holds its depth well, especially in gradients like skin tones or presentation graphics. Yellow is stable, which sounds boring, but in printing, stable yellow actually matters a lot more than people think, because it affects the entire warmth of an image. When all three are working together, the output is sharp enough for office documents, presentations, and even decent photo prints on the right paper. But here's where things get interesting. Ink cartridges like these aren't just about quality. They're about cost per page. And this is where most people start paying attention. HP's official cartridges, including the 936 series, are designed for reliability and consistency. But they're not trying to compete on price with third-party refills. You're paying for predictability. You're paying for reduced clogging issues. You're paying for fewer print failures at the worst possible time. And if you've ever had a printer ruin an important document 5 minutes before a meeting, you start to understand why that matters. There's also instant ink compatibility here, which shifts the model slightly. Instead of thinking in terms of cartridges, HP nudges you toward a subscription system where ink is delivered before you even run out. For some users, that's convenient. For others, it feels like another layer of dependency. So the real question becomes, who is this for? If you're printing occasionally, maybe a few pages a week, this system can feel expensive and slightly over-engineered. But if you're in an environment where color accuracy and uptime matter, small business, office work, design proofs, client documents, then reliability starts to outweigh everything else. Because ink isn't just ink anymore, it's uptime. And HP knows that. The physical design of the cartridges is also very intentional. They snap in cleanly. They're keyed so you can't install the wrong color in the wrong slot. And once they're in, they stay locked until replacement. It's simple, but it reduces user error significantly. One thing worth noting is consistency over time. Unlike refilled or third-party cartridges where performance can vary batch to batch, HP's 936 line stays relatively stable. You're not getting random color shifts or inconsistent saturation between prints, which is especially important if you're printing branded material. But of course, none of this exists in isolation, because printer ink has always been one of the most controversial parts of consumer tech. The hardware might be affordable, but the consumables are where companies actually make their long-term margin. And the HP 936 sits right in the middle of that conversation. Reliable? Yes. Consistent? Absolutely. Cheap? Not really. So what you're really deciding here isn't just which ink to buy. You're deciding how much you value reliability versus flexibility versus cost savings. And that's the trade-off HP has built into the system very intentionally. If you're already in this ecosystem, these cartridges do exactly what they're supposed to do. No surprises. No compatibility headaches. Just color on demand when you need it. But if you're thinking long-term, it's worth asking whether you want to stay in a system where the printer is cheap, but the ink is where the real investment lives. Either way, this is the reality of modern printing. It's not just about putting ink on paper anymore. It's about how much friction you're willing to accept in exchange for consistency. And in that sense, the HP 936 cartridges don't try to reinvent anything. They just quietly keep the system running. And sometimes that's exactly the point. If you want to check it out, the link is provided in the description below.